Yeah, boy.
Alright. Wasn't watching the screen, so I was a little late switching over, but we are back. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us today. Uh, yeah, the name of this episode is Eight of Swords. And for those of you who maybe have the little bit of nerdy tarot knowledge, you will know that the Eight of Swords is totally a reference to a tarot card. Oh my goodness! Oh, that is such a cool version.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah, that is so cool. I didn't even think. Well, I just like pulled the image of that, the Eight of Swords that I showed last session off the internet. I should have asked you because I know you have so many awesome tarot decks. Should have
Yeah,
asked
I
you
have a couple
give one of
terrible ones
those.
and a couple really good ones.
All right. Well, maybe we can try and incorporate that in some kind of way later. It's a very tarot kind of situation. So, anyhow, let us move on to group therapy. It's a chance to catch up with our characters, see how they're feeling about particular current events, and somewhat get a recap of what happened last session, because it was last week after all. So, who would like to go first with group therapy?
I'll go.
Cool.
Uh, so Leah still has lots of things going on. Um, but this was a really interesting session because just prior to the cliffhanger last week, Leah was having one of the best, let's say, mental health days since she came out of exile. I think she's maybe the happiness that she was experiencing was only secondary to being reunited with Eridu, which she apparently did multiple times because he kept not actually being there. Uh, but like that, the what happened in this last session was she went from the very lowest that she had been to having for the first time a spark of hope, conveniently delivered by the serendipitous appearance of her previous mentor slash mother figure, who just happened to show up at the right time. But Leah also was working very hard to avoid the darkness and to find answers. So it wasn't just that she was rescued by someone else. There was a bit of both, really. And she also now has a strange hope, a confusing one, attached to all of the darkness surrounding the fact that Eridu is gone, since she heard his voice come out of Rue. And so she's going to be following up on that at the first opportunity. In other news, she's right back to hating Hillowfax again. So we're in comfortable territory once more. We feel good about this. And that's Leah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rue is very confused why a different voice is coming out of Eigner's mouth. He's beginning to wonder if maybe Eigner has voice modulation or voice mimicking modulations that that he doesn't have.
Mm.
So he's curious about that. The ability to you know upgrade yourself on the spot is pretty impressive. That's about all he's got though.
Eigner's a better robot than Rue? Who knew?
Uh,
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll go. I don't even know. Ellie's very confused. It's been a very confusing day for Ellie. She had this weird, like, flirty evening with Eigner, which is like completely out of character. Well, he got very, very drunk. Um, Finnegan has given her this box to work out how to open. So that's quite exciting. She's very interested in that at the minute. She managed to kind of get her way under Agnes' arm when they were in bed, so she was happy with that. And then she kind of helped Leah with taking a spell or something. So she was in quite like, a good mood. She woke up in like a good mood. Things are going good. Like Agnes getting a little bit like warmer towards her again. Everything's fine. And then like an hour later Eigner gets possessed by something.
Is that everything?
Yeah. So I think worry, being freaked out, panic, confusion, all those sorts of feelings, but also trying to stop Rue from punching him. It's the main thing. Yeah, that's where Ellie is.
All right.
Hillowfax is trying to get his head around the rapid changes that have happened. Eridu's not there, and we now have Rue added to the party, so that's two very quick changes. And now he's starting to wonder, like, does he need to start calling Eigner by a new name, this Urana, or is this a problem for the party? He's not really spent much time considering, like, whether or not this is a let's help Eigner or let's accept Eigner's new identity. So he doesn't know which way to go on this. He's waiting to see what more info he can get. And because this represents a fascinating mystery in front of him, he's just entirely ignoring everything else and just focusing on that. Because it also seems to be a very interesting development. Yes, besides that, previously he's been thinking, what's stuff about Rue? What is Rue? Who is Rue? Why is Rue?
Why?
And other things.
The most
yeah,
important
that's
question. Why is Rue?
This is a valid question.
All right. So that's group therapy. Everyone is properly confused. Excuse me. Properly confused and maybe a little dismayed at current events. So, yeah. So, where we're going to pick up is right after Eigner gets possessed. Quick little play-by-play of how that happened is Eigner decided that he needed to go boar hunting because he was disappointed about the lack of bacon that he had in his pantry. And, if you've read Game of Thrones, you know that going on a boar hunt is not a good idea. So, on the boar hunt, Eigner tried to use his channel divinity power to create an illusionary clone of himself to flush the boar out. The illusionary clone looked all freaky, had green glowing eyes, and then boom, just like rushed and slammed into Eigner and sent Eigner into this full-on like seizure. The party brought him back to Bronzewood Grove, laid him out on his bed, and after a little while, the seizure subsided, and then Eigner's eyes opened, and they had that same glowing green that they saw on his duplicate. And then a booming voice came forth. A chorus of 1,000 voices said, "I am Joro, weaver of shadows. She who whispers in darkness, matron of matrons, the queen of spiders, Thezalith the corrupter, and the chorus of voices fade until only one feminine voice remains. But you mortals can call me Yrana. And that is where we pick up.
Greetings, Yrana.
Don't just say greetings. What? Don't.
You are Eigner. You are not Yrana. I do not know who that is, but Eigner is a dear friend. Why are you speaking so strange, Eigner? Do you have voice modulation? How can we upgrade me to be like this?
What have you done with Eigner?
Eigner is still here. I am merely borrowing his body, so to speak.
And you'll give him back?
Soon enough. Soon enough. I know this is shocking for you all, but it needed to happen. Eigner refused to follow my orders, and I needed to take matters into my own hands.
If memory serves, aren't you some sort of extra planar being? What's the colloquialism? A deity?
I
She,
whisper. I'll like mumble after him and say demon.
Deity is a good word for it. I think of myself as many things, but as far as what mortals would consider me as, deity fits just fine.
Wonderful. I did consider at one point pledging my life to the clergy. It did seem like a noble pursuit, helping those in need and whatnot. However, I hit upon a problem during my studies, and it does seem to be a problem that strikes me now. What does God need with Eigner?
I'm sure you'll find out soon enough.
Well, if you seek our permission or aid in some way, I would advise that you inform us of what your plans are. There are a few in this room that I would warn you about. Leah, beside me, she has ways of making those not necessarily willingly capitulate if need be. Rue here also has ways, usually involving fists, and Ellie here is a master of finding ways around any problems that we face. If you do pose a threat to us, the three of those will not hesitate at all, make life very difficult for you, and I would wager they would succeed.
Empty.
He is so angry right now, but he's also kind of right. He is so angry.
I would not waste.
Hillowfax is probably going to feel a little angry as well for some reason.
You should not waste your breath with empty threats, Hillowfax. I know about all of you already. I am she who whispers in darkness, and Eigner whispers to me all the time.
Rue is going to sidle over to Ellie and then open his mouth as if to speak, and then quickly look at Yrana, Eigner, and then leap at them, screaming, "Voice modulation!" He is raging and attacking.
Warning to headphones users. You probably should have probably should have said that first. Warning.
I can't warn when I'm going to rage. I'm sorry. I just don't know when I'm going to scream until I'm screaming.
Okay. Well,
I
can you?
feel like I would do
I am
something.
mid dive. You can try.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah,
I mean,
I'll just shout no at him. It's fine. Okay.
currently, for clarification, Eigner is currently lying down in bed, right?
Sat
Yeah.
up, I think.
No,
Hasn't
I
he?
Well,
came back
yeah.
home.
Yeah, well,
Oh, because yeah.
yeah. So the eyes flashed, the voice boomed, and then as Yorana is talking to you, she has kind of sat up in bed, but hasn't quite stood up all the way. So yeah,
Okay.
Ru-
Just so I understand that the physical image is of Eigner sitting up, speaking strangely, saying a few things, being vaguely menacing, and a giant robot person just decides to body slam.
Yeah.
that's essentially what's going on. Yeah.
Sweet. I am not going to stop this.
All right, Asa,
I
do a thing.
I am sorry for those of you who understand that this is a very bad idea. I also understand it's a very bad idea. But in the ever infamous words that every GM hates, it's what my character would do.
It's what my character would do. Wow.
Where's my wild surge table? Damn it.
Wow. Wow.
Damn it. All right, I'm gonna roll my dice. Because both fists are just going ham.
Oh, can I? Okay. Probably do that, but I'd like to do a reaction. To that.
One is definitely going to miss because it was a natural 3, so it's a total of 11. The other was a 20, a natural 20, so it's 28 in total.
Okay. Sorry, I was typing something funny into the chat. Excuse me.
Telling all the people how awful I am for screaming.
So you said one's an 11 and one's like a 20.
Yeah, 28.
All right, so you just
I
going
rolled a
in.
natural 20.
Oh, word. So you're just going in for the punches and everything.
Both fists. Yep.
Okay. So
full on gonna try to dispel magic because maybe that's what's happening, but it's just two fists of pure magical robotic fury.
Okay, so roll damage for the crit.
Yeah, so that is 15.
All right. So the one fist misses as one hand comes up from the bed and just parries away that first fist, and then you got the left hook that comes in, bomb, and just connects right on Eigner's jaw, and you feel this kind of crunch that feels pretty damaging. And there's just a grunt that escapes from Yorana's. I'm just gonna keep saying Yorana because it's Yorana now. It's she, her pronouns. You know, it's Yorana. Yeah,
I got
for
my
sure.
wild surge effect happening too, so as soon as the punches land, he just teleports to a random space 20 feet away, or if the room isn't that big, less than that, but just away.
Okay, so you do the punches and then you just go pop pop.
And then I'm somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay.
Entirely unintentional. It just is what happens with this wild surge.
All right, so you can tell that the damage went through, but as far as a reaction, there is not much of one. There is definitely a very... Everyone else can see that there's something very disturbing now about the look of Eigner's jaw. You know, it looks bad. And
yeah, I am postured in a way that looks almost gorilla-ish as Rue begins to advance forward. That's all I'm gonna do though.
for sure.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yorana places a hand in the air in front of Rue, and this shockwave blasts forth. Doesn't do like an intense amount of damage to Rue or anything, but it's just a way of pushing back, and Rue just goes shaboom, just falls right on his back as the shockwave blasts forth, and it hits him square in the chest. And there's
Your
a
upgrades are unforgivable.
in a low, dangerous voice, Yorana says, I would not recommend trying to damage my vessel.
I'm gonna like dart now, sort of in the middle, so I'm stood sort of in front of Your Honor, I guess. But like facing out to the others, kind of ignoring what she says. um, Look, Rue, don't do that again. This parasite has Eigner, but you're still hurting Eigner. We've got to drive it out or something. Just don't attack him.
Eigner should know better.
This wasn't Eigner's choice. She took him. She took him. Sorry.
She took it.
The body.
Urana takes a hand and caresses it over Eigner's broken jaw. And there's a little shadowy energy that seeps out of her palm and caresses the broken part. And you hear a pop and a snap as bones fall back into place. And she just goes, "Ugh. It was feeling so amazing to be in this body until your metallic brute did that. Ugh."
You're
Well-
a body.
I mean, you deserve it, but
Eigner didn't.
Yeah, Rue did good.
yes, Rue is a good thing. I don't know what you say for that.
Get our gender pronouns proper here, please.
Yeah, I know, but what do you say in that phrase?
Don't know.
Yeah,
We'll call Eigner a it, and we'll call Rue a him. Stick with that.
Agner's a she for this
Well,
for
yeah,
this
sure.
moment. I told you,
Fair
she, her pronouns. It's Urana for the moment. Just deal with it. Urana fixes her eyes on Hillowfax and says, "I do not need your permission to do what I'm going to do, and I do not need your aid either. But I imagine that you all would want to follow and make sure that your precious, precious Eigner comes to no harm."
We're not just gonna follow you somewhere. Like what? You're obviously not here for a good reason. A good god wouldn't take over a body without asking permission.
My dear foolish child, in the realm of gods, there is no good, there is no evil, there is only power.
Yeah, but it's how
Ellie
you use
is
power,
right.
isn't it?
You don't take bodies without asking. No means no.
This also
Thank you.
does present a wider issue of the powers of Urana. She requires Eigner's physical form, which means that her powers to perform the acts that she needs to perform are limited without mortal aid, which means that mortal abilities are those that she lacks.
Puny.
It also means that things that might hinder Eigner might also hinder Urana. I would wager that Rue alone could hinder Eigner. All of us together could do similar. We wish no harm to come to Eigner, and we may wish no harm to come to you, ultimately, were we better informed on your motives and goals. Perhaps there is a way that we could resolve this in a more equitable fashion, rather than posturing and threats. What say you, Urana?
I suppose I'm listening, to the extent that I need to listen to puny mortals.
Excellent. Leah, any ideas?
Give you some ideas right here. She didn't actually do that. That's just a
Wow.
manifestation of the feeling that is coming out of her head right now.
Rue gives Hillowfax a very sharp look, and its fists clench.
Uh,
Well, perhaps it would be wise for us to determine first if our goals might be in alignment. You're asking if we would come with you to make sure that Eigner is in good shape when you return his body, which is something that we have difficulty accepting as a premise since the trust has not yet been built. But leaving that to the side, where would we be going?
To the Feywild.
Hmm.
Can I you activate my item and cast detect thoughts or whatever it is, mind read? What is it? Detect thoughts.
Yeah.
Rue, are you trying to talk?
Oh.
Oh, talking to someone else.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I went to try and cast detect thoughts and want to see if I can. I want to see if I can hear Eigner in there,
Okay.
and then if not, I'll move it on to her.
Alright, so let me look up this spell really quick. Really quick. I'm gonna look up this spell. Because I got my player's handbook right here.
And after you do that, I have a question and possibly an action.
Mm-hmm. You focus your mind on... You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature, what is most on its mind at the moment. Yep. Okay, so you do that, and you focus your mind on Yrana, who is actually Eigner, who is actually Yrana, and you don't get anything that suggests, like, godly thoughts of a deity or anything evil or anything or whatnot. You do get something that seems very much like Eigner's perspective, and it actually takes the form of this this kind of vision, and the vision is back not too long ago on the boar hunt when Eigner was crouching behind the log, and he was just about to do the thing and summon the duplicate and do that whole thing, and it's kind of frozen in there. It's almost like this loop, like this about 6-second loop of Eigner looking back at everyone and saying, "Watch this. I'll flush it out. I'll flush him out." And then you see the boar in the distance, and then it loops again, and it's just... That's the surface thought that you get. So Leah had a question and an action.
Yeah. Is Senna in the room right now?
I'm gonna say no. Senna is not in the room, and neither is Leovan.
Okay. Well, I won't take any action yet then.
Okay. And at this point, Yrana says, "It's not that I want you all to follow me. It's just that I expected you all to want to look after Eigner. I will be giving his body back soon enough. I know that I do not have much time. My presence here in Eigner's body, I fear it's a bit too much for him to handle. If I'm here for too long, the enormity of my power could end up killing Eigner. And Eigner is far more useful to me alive than dead. He may be a pathetic, weak fool, but he is my pathetic, weak fool."
I mean,
Rue's
no.
Rue kind of straightens up a little bit as his fists become unclenched, and he looks around at everyone and then back at Eigner and says, "So, if I am to understand this correctly, you are attempting to, I believe the term is blackmail us with the safety of our dear friend, who you seem to be possessing, in a way." This is disappointing. I thought that Eigner had leveled up, or upgraded, but this is not the case. If you are his maker, you are very mean. However, if we go along with what you say, and this means you give our dear friend back to us, is that a promise that you can make?
Yorana raises her eyebrows and says, "I've made many promises with mortals before. I suppose I shall make another."
He looks to Ellie. Does this one seem to be trying to deceive us? The concept is new to me, and I don't believe I know how to tell.
Can I insight?
Yeah.
Oh, correct.
I'm gonna use my own dice. I got this very sweet set of dice as a gift from Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. Pew. All right. Not only can you tell that Yorana is kind of bullshitting you, but you know from what you've picked up in your studies about, the different gods of Volohine and everything. You've read general stuff about the pantheon, and you know that this goddess's domain. Yorana's, like, just to be clear, Yorana's like not a common name for this goddess. She listed all of her titles at the beginning, and the most common one is Joro, Weaver of Shadows. And Joro is known as a goddess of deception and treachery and subterfuge and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. I mean, it's a good job I rolled insight because I was genuinely believing it. So.
It does strike me, Your Honor, that while you've said that you've made many promises with mortals before, and that we should trust you because of that, of those promises, which have you fulfilled?
I don't need to explain myself to you, puny Azamar. She says that with a particular kind of contempt.
Rue, every single word out of her mouth is a lie.
Rue stands up. Oh, go ahead.
No, well, you can. Yeah.
Rue stands up straighter and nods and looks at Yorana and says, "I do not believe you. I will not be going. It appears that you intend to do what you will with Eigner regardless of whether or not we help you. So why would I put myself and my friends, my other dear friends, in danger for you, a liar?"
Lying is what I do. Deception is my domain. I gain power from the weakness of mortals. When they are at their most desperate, their most scared, in their darkest of places, that is when they whisper to me. And that is when I gain even more power.
Rue's fists begin to clench again, and his shoulders kind of hunch up a little more, and he says, "These mortals may be squishy, but they are not weak. I think it is you that is weak. You have to take the presence of a dear friend in order for you to have any say to any of us. I will not hear any more of your lies. You can give us a promise we can believe, or we can leave. And I am sorry we could not help you more, Eigner. And then Rue is going to turn towards the door and start to walk out of the room.
Just sort of leaning over to Ellie. Ellie, this Joro, are they fabled to have especially good hearing, or perhaps some sort of intrusive telepathy? I'm trying to determine if we could discuss matters privately in the next room or outside without interference.
Do I know that?
Uh,
I mean, Eigner has it. Eigner has it here.
Eigner does.
So
Hmm.
she might be able to hear through his hearing.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, can I? Okay. God. This is I don't make friends in D&D. This is my problem. I turn to her and say, "You, lady, can you use Agnes' abilities? Are you like him now, or what?" And I'm gonna wave my hand in her face, like, to see if if she's blind.
Yeah. So the appearance. It's mostly Eigner, in appearance, but his eyes, his pupils, and all of that his eyes have just been completely replaced by this glowing green. They just look like glowing green gemstones in his eyes almost. They're a bright, bright color. And from the way that she has been looking and addressing you all, you definitely get the sense that she can see you. But
I'm still gonna say it and do it.
for sure. For sure. I am not as limited as Eigner. I can see. Absolutely.
I'm gonna lean in a little bit closer and say, like, quietly and quite, say dangerously, it's not really the word I mean, but I'm gonna say, Eigner's stronger than you think. I wouldn't expect to keep hold of that body for too long.
You don't know Eigner like I do.
I know Eigner better than you do. Better than anybody.
You think so. You think so, my dear. But you only have Eigner's body. I have his mind, and I have his soul.
I turn to, shall we?
I feel that there's perhaps some discussion needing to be made out of earshot.
Very well. I must fix my vessel a little more. And then she goes back to caressing the jaw that Rue punched. And she also is going to start to make some preparations and, maybe put on Eigner's armor, just for fun or something. But anyway,
Because she's afraid of getting punched again?
maybe, who knows? Maybe she just wants to look all fancy. Who knows?
No, Rue already left the room.
Fair. So I'm going to let you guys talk it over. I need to step outside for just one moment. I'll be right back. I'll let you guys have your little convo.
Secret planning time.
Sweet. Yeah, so... Yeah.
Okay, so we step outside, I guess?
Yeah. It appears that we don't have much of a choice. Our options appear to be allow Urana to take Eigner's body and do what she will without our further knowledge or interference, follow her and have some impact on Eigner's survival, or attack Eigner's vessel to stop her achieving whatever ends she may be seeking.
We can't attack Eigner. It's still him. I kind of tried to get a bit of a feel into his mind, and she seems to have trapped him in some sort of loop. Maybe maybe we do go along with her, and maybe that means that we can minimize casualties along the way. We can help people if she tries to hurt them. We can see what her plan is. Maybe, I mean, she's a drow god, right? Maybe this has something to do with the people, the drow trying to take this plane or whatever, and maybe we can stop it. And maybe we, along the way, we try and connect with Eigner. Maybe we try and get Eigner back out again. Maybe we just need to, you know, maybe, I mean, Leah, maybe that's something that, I know you don't like to do it, but if you can reach Eigner underneath all of that, maybe that'll stop it.
I can try, but I can't go to the Feywild if that's where we're going.
Why?
What's that?
Why?
My mentor, you've met her, Senna. She always cautioned me against going to the Feywilds with the powers that I have, especially uncontrolled as they are. I am a beacon there. It's not safe. At least I believe her about that. I've never gone, and I had
Not
no
safe
intention
for
to. What's that?
Sorry. I would say not safe for you or for the things in the Feywild.
Not safe for me or for anyone near me.
I mean, what's likely to happen? It brings things to us. Oh, we can deal with that. Like, we've got you back. Like, we won't let anything hurt you and us. I mean, Agner might be gone, but I mean, if you hadn't noticed, I'm not too bad in a fight.
Ellie, do you plan to go to the Feywild to do what this Urana asks of us?
If that's the only way to make sure Agner is okay and that maybe we can stop too much destruction happening, then yeah.
She made me feel so very, very angry, so angry at her face, at her words, and the fact that her mouth was not Agner's. It made me also very angry. I don't trust her, and she seems to not want to take good care of our dear friend, and he is likely already lost. I I think you are wrong to go to this place with her. And with that, Rue kind of gets a look, like kind of shrinks a little bit, like a child challenging his parent for the first time.
Well, while I understand where you're coming from, Rue, but Agner isn't gone. I think he is still in there. And even if he's not, and you know, she leaves his body and it's just his body left behind, there are ways that magic can bring people back. Like we just get the magic that grabs his soul from wherever it's gone and put it back in the body. Like it, if we don't keep track of him and where he is, then it's another body cast out into who knows where, and that's one more of our friends gone. We've already lost one person not that long ago. We can't lose another person. And while I say this, I'm gonna put my hand on Leah's shoulder, just like reassuringly, like comfortingly, while I say it, but still look at her. We've got to do this. You don't have to come with us. I would prefer that you did. Well, I mean, I'm not. This is me speaking for everybody, but you don't have to come through. But that's where I'm going.
I can disagree, and
Yeah.
and still want you to be safe.
Mhm.
And I can
Yay.
protect you. You have made me this way. I will go with you, and maybe, just maybe, we can save Eigner. I hope.
Thank you. Me too.
Should I
Yeah.
try the thing you were thinking of?
Which thing do you think?
Well, so far the only way I know of to connect with someone's mind, as opposed to just in general, are, well, two things. I can communicate in dreams, and she like studiously avoids looking at Hillowfax. And I can fully control the will of another person, which I do not like to do.
Well, bearing in mind, as much as I hate to say it, she is a god. This is dangerous territory. I worry. I mean, I worried about even trying to read Agnes' thoughts. I didn't push the spell further. Like, she could. I mean, look at what she did when Rue came at her, and that was like, literally just her swatting a fly away. Like, it might be incredibly dangerous for you to go into her mind like that and try and take control. But, I mean, she is in a human body, right? Like, she's gonna surely, like, exhaustion and needing to sleep, and maybe somewhere along the way she'll sleep, or maybe she has Eigner in a form of sleep, and maybe you could try and go into his dreams like that. I don't know. That's up to you. That's kind of you're putting yourself at risk if you decide to do that. I'm not going to tell you to do that.
As someone who understands magic better than I, do you think I would be putting Eigner at risk if
Possibly.
I did so?
But he's already at risk. He has a evil spider thing inside him. Like, he's at the most risk he could possibly be in already. Like I said, if she destroys his mind, like, I mean, she destroys the body, destroys the mind. Like, there are ways to get him back, possibly. Like, but
I'm less concerned about myself and more concerned about him.
And, maybe we learn something. Maybe we go to the Feywild and we see what's going on, and we can kind of have a bit more control over, like, what she's trying to do. Who knows how many other people she's twisted across the world and are leading to do these things for her. Like, maybe we could put a stop to it.
I don't know if trying to put a stop to a god is a good plan.
It's only a day's work, right?
It's backfired.
Well, what's the worst that can happen?
A complete reversal of the world order.
It won't come to that. It's fine.
Meh.
We've got this.
Ellie is very confident that she can put the world back in order. She's smart enough.
Wash planet.
He wasn't there when we had the whole confrontation with Fania and Shar, so...
Mm-hmm.
No, true, actually. Yeah, she's never met a god. I forgot that.
That's true. It's true.
If the world breaks out of order, Ellie can fix it. She fixes things well.
That she does. So, at this moment, did you guys step outside? Is that
We
what
did.
happened? Alright, so you stepped outside, so the front door to Eigner's abode opens, and Yarana steps through, fully clad in Eigner's armor, with Talon's blade at her hip, and Fania's shield of light held aloft. She seems to be looking at her newfound cool magic stuff with a sense of wonder, and she stretches Eigner's arms, rolls the shoulders, and several pops of the back are heard. And she breathes in with this kind of lust. This feels amazing. All right. Like I said before, I don't have much time. I would hate to overwhelm poor Eigner's body any more than I need to. He's more useful to me alive than dead.
My apologies, Your Honor. That's a possibility. His body becoming overwhelmed by your presence.
I come from a plane much higher than this one. The enormity of my divine power being funneled into such a puny vessel. Yeah, it would be enough to kill him if I'm here for too long. So, I will be going. You all may follow if you wish.
Is it daytime or nighttime?
It is daytime, because the hunt happened in the morning.
Okay. Rue is staring up at the sky, and then he looks at Urata and says, "What plane do you come from? Is it up there? Is it the one with all of the clouds?"
Direction is not an appropriate descriptor. It's not up, it's not down. It's just out.
Right, well, come on then. If you've not got time, why are you standing around here talking?
Can it wait another just a few minutes? I need to find Senna.
If you wish, I've always wondered what it would be like to eat something. And at that, she rustles around in Eigner's pack and finds some of Eigner's beef jerky, exactly, and stands there, nibbles on the edge of the jerky, and then just has this kind of like moan, just this moment of like, oh, oh, and just starts making these like very like suggestive, very like sexual sounding moans as she enjoys the pleasures of eating some beef jerky.
Rue steps forward and says, "I have also wondered this," and he will snatch it out of her hands and say, "But that is Eigner's jerky, and you are not Eigner."
She merely reaches into the pack and gets another piece.
He'll take it away.
And they'll get into a little grab fight over the jerky, and she'll just grab it and like.
And then just Rue's holding a huge handful of beef jerky at the end of it.
You are a very selfish god. I do not like you.
I've been told worse things.
I don't wish to say this too often, Rue. Stop fighting with the god.
Rue is gonna look at Hillowfax and kind of narrow his eyes, and then just look at the god and say, "Eigner has taught me choice words for situations like this. Fuck." And then he's gonna take a few steps back.
All right, so Leah's gonna go try and find Senna real quick.
Yeah, whether or not she finds her is up to the DM.
Okay.
But he's gonna find her.
Cool. Make a roll that is maybe like I don't know, like a wisdom roll. Maybe it's like an insight roll, or maybe just based off of your wisdom or something. I'm just like trying to see if Leah would be able to think of in the moment like the most likely place to find Senna.
25.
Okay. It immediately comes to your mind that Senna might be doing some rituals in the very isolated place that is Eigner's shrine to Urana, where they were hanging out last session.
Well, Leah's gonna go ahead and go there because this is important.
Very
So we're
important.
gonna interrupt some rituals, I guess.
All right. Leah goes crashing through the woods and finds Senna in the middle of lighting some incense and wafting it into her face. And then she looks up as Leah makes a racket come through the underbrush and says, "My child, what's wrong?"
So many things. So many things. Eigner is being possessed by his goddess. She's bad. She's Joro. She's going to take him into the Feywild, and if we don't go with her, there's no chance of protecting his body while she does whatever it is that she wants to do with him. And that means I need to go into the Feywild, which means I need your help.
Okay. She you've known her to not really be fazed by anything, and that's more or less her reaction at this moment, but there is a twitch of her eyebrows that suggests that she is rather shocked and a little worried. What must I do?
I know that my presence in the Feywild is dangerous, that I bleed emotions and am a beacon to other entities. Is there any way to tone that down? Or is it all just what I can manage on my own already?
In that regard, there is nothing that I can do for you, my dear. But you are stronger than you think. The Feywild, it is a place of pure emotion. It is the realm from which all things in this realm originate. While you are there, you will have more control over your powers than you realize. But your emotions will be so amplified that it could be hard to find your center. It will be hard to find that calm. Leah, my dear, all you must do is believe. Believe that you can do this.
Okay. I'll try.
This is in your bloodline. I know you are scared of it. But the Feywild, in some way, it's your birthright, Leah.
Thank you. And then she'll just run back the way she came.
All right. Actually, I just thought of one thing that I would like to do really quick. Senna stands up before you go away. She walks over to you, and she reaches around her neck. She's got all sorts of jewelry, just like an old, like, kind of shamanistic, druid type person would have. She's got all sorts of handmade, natural jewelry. And she takes one of her necklaces off of her neck, and you see that at the, it's like a little pendant thing, but the pendant is one of those circular conch shells, that's got like the half of it cut out so you can see like the ridges on the inside of it. And the hole is drilled right through the center of the thing. And she says, if you find yourself overwhelmed there, I hope this token will be enough to make you feel connected to me, to try and draw some of my strength.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go with grace.
And then she'll run.
For sure. Leah runs back to find Urana still eating jerky and still making very embarrassing sounds. And Rue with a handful of beef jerky, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Every time he snatches one, she pulls out another. He just seems to be getting more and more annoyed.
That is Eigner's jerky. Rah 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 rah. And
Not for you.
no jerky for you.
At this point, at the point where Leah shows up, he might be just trying to wrestle the sack away from Urana, so she stops getting into it.
Mm-hmm. And Urana just lets go of the sack as soon as Leah comes back into the frame. And she says, "All right, let's be going now." And she starts walking off into the distance, into another direction in the woods. And doesn't really look over her shoulder to see if you all are following her. But she knows that you will. She knows. And after a short bit of walk, I mean, I was just going to continue unless no one else wanted to say anything.
I was going to just cast a look over the rest of the party and then just like stride after her with my stick.
Yeah, I think Ellie would have like folded her arms and pretty much like walked as she walked. She's not really in the mood for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you walk through the woods for a short time and you come upon this very curious-looking tree, and maybe the only person in the party who has seen this kind of tree before. I mean, maybe Leah has seen one, but I'm not really sure. But definitely Hillowfax, because Hillowfax was in episode 10 when you all were following Leovan around. Oh, wait.
Ellie was too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because this was later. This was later in episode 10, not necessarily in the beginning of episode 10. This was later when this happened. But Leovan was leading you guys around at that time and had revealed that there's a way for him to like teleport between certain trees that are scattered all over the place. There was a tree looking like this outside of Iron Fist Hold. There was another tree like this kind of adjacent to Bronzewood Grove, and it's a very strange, kind of unnatural looking thing. The roots and the bark of the tree, they have this kind of thick, like ropey looking appearance to them. They almost look like veins that are twisted around each other, and they dig into the earth in this very aggressive way. And the leaves have this very creepy looking blood red color to them. So that should strike y'all's memory of, you've seen this kind of thing before. You remember that it was Leovan that was using these kind of trees in the past. And as soon as you reach the tree, Urana starts to wave her hands around a bit and mutters some words under her breath. And Hillowfax, make an Arcana check, and actually I'll let Ellie do it as well.
Okay. So Arcana, so it's
18.
Gone up.
Mm-hmm.
12.
Okay.
I rolled a 2.
Hillowfax is distracted by something at the moment. Ooh, bird. Ooh, something shiny. Ooh. And Ellie is the only one to know that Urana is calling upon some very powerful conjuration magics at the moment. And with some more hand waving and some more muttering, she finishes the casting of the spell, and Ellie recognizes that it's a plane shift spell. And in the presence of this tree, just everything around you guys starts to change rapidly. The tree itself in front of you stays more or less the same, but everything else around it changes. The undergrowth explodes and grows even higher. The other trees around start to look all deformed in this kind of wispy way. The wind picks up, and you realize as the wind blows through the trees that it's got this kind of colorful tint to it. Leah immediately recognizes all of the I'm sorry. Hold on. Asa, you're screwing me up.
Yeah, no, I fixed it. You're fine.
Okay, you fixed it. Okay. Leah immediately recognizes that the wind that is blowing through is just pure force of emotion that is coming through. So one sweep of wind will have this anger to it. Another one comes the other direction, and it's just fear. And yeah, it's absolute chaos as far as Leah is concerned. Everything starts to look so much more wild, the colors so much more vibrant, and you know that you're not in Kansas anymore. Or rather, you're not in Bronzewood Grove anymore. You are in the Feywild.
So I do want to say that what Leah has been doing to like prepare herself for this, and what she is still doing as this all happens, is she is trying to center herself and retreat into a memory that gives her joy, and calms her. And so she is remembering the last time that she had a conversation with Eridu, and that was a good conversation, not like one that was fraught with negative emotions, but just one that made her happy, and that's what she's focusing on as all of this happens.
As you focus your mind on that conversation with Eridu, you hear the words in his voice very clearly in your mind. And as you focus even more, trying to find that calm and that center, you get this strange sensation like the thoughts and the memories are seeping out of you in some kind of way. And another gust of wind blows across you all. And everybody hears Eridu's voice, the one that was in your head, the exact memory. His words are blowing with the wind across the trees.
I'm just going to say that in that memory, she is teasing him about having too much sex.
In Eridu's voice, trying to say something about like, oh, don't make fun of me for being a whore or something.
Now, Leah, we all know that the best way to really enjoy life is through the carnal pleasures. You just need to let yourself feel the emotions, get washed up in them, and just enjoy the moment. Stop trying to hide everything behind your sense of propriety.
His words blow on the wind, engulfing you all, and Urana only snickers and looks at Leah and says, I imagine this is your first time in the Feywild, my love.
Yep, that happened differently than I expected.
This place, it is wild. I missed it. I really did. She gives a thoughtful look to the surroundings and says, shall we? Let's be off. Let's be off.
Rue looks at her and says, Is this your upper plane? I see no sign of our plane below it.
There's no directions. She looks frustrated at this point. I tried to tell you before, it's not a matter of up or down or left or right. It is just out and in, if that makes any sense. And
It does not. Your explanation is quite insufficient. I do not understand.
Anyway. No, this...
Now the emotions are actually being amused, and she's focusing on that because that seems like a good emotion to focus on. She's just there kind of giggling.
Urana spins over to Rue and gives him a point of the finger and really tries to set him straight and says, "And no, this is not my plane. But I did live here once. All of us, all of the gods, used to inhabit the Feywild until we broke away and became something greater."
Can I, like, kind of cut off towards the end of that sentence and just, like, click in her face? Like, come on, you can walk and talk. You said we've not got long.
You can do that. You can do that. You can like step in between the two of them, and Urana just like glares at you, and
Grin.
yeah, she
Rue
glares
will-
and
Rue will like open his mouth slightly in his mimic of a smile, and haha, Ellie yelled at her.
So, you guys carry on, and Urana leads you through the very wild, Feywild landscape. Everything seems to be shifting here. It's almost like a real-time psychedelic trip where the trees are flowing, but in this unnatural kind of way, and the leaves are not solid. The branches are not solid. They seem to be flowing in ways that they shouldn't be able to, not keeping their shape, dancing in the emotional wind that is blowing across the entire landscape. You seem to pass by these mountains that are ever changing. It starts off as a mountain and then sinks down low until it becomes a valley that you can see across for miles. And then somewhere else the ground shifts up, becoming another mountain. The whole landscape is in flux the entire time. But the path that you are walking, there's this radius around you where everything stays pretty stable, pretty solid. It's not like you're going to walk into a pitfall that just appears in front of you. There's this radius of stability that hangs around you. And as you walk, Urana looks around, takes in the sights, seems to be rather pleased with it all. Yes, it is just as I remember it. Just as I remember it. You walk for another little while, and there's some kind of strange mirage-looking thing on the horizon that you're quickly approaching. And Urana goes on to say, "I told you, Ellie, that I know Eigner so much better than you do. There are things in his past that he cannot tell you, cannot bring himself to share with you. But he's told me."
Good for you.
And by now the mirage is quickly approaching, and everything solidifies. And it's as if you're walking into like a movie set or something. Like that's a bad analogy as far as like what your characters would be able to recognize, but as far as like talking to you players, it's like you're somewhere out in this wilderness, and then they've like created a little movie set that looks like a completely different place or something. It's just superimposed. But everything in this scene, it has this kind of wispiness to it. Shadowy wispiness. It's not solid. It almost looks like the same kind of shadowy wispiness that was all around Eigner's clone when he summoned it. And it's and the scene, let me check the time really quick. Yeah, I've got time to do this. And the scene that you are seeing is it's a wooden lodge that is on top of a small hill. Again, it looks totally out of place, just like it was just conjured up. And as you get closer, you see a much younger looking Eigner walking up to this lodge. He is clean shaven, in stark contrast to the way that he usually wears his facial hair these days. This younger Eigner, he's clean shaven, he is wearing full plate armor, and he has a tabard on that is this black color, and it's got a yellow emblem on it that looks like, and the emblem is a morning star, like, like a big old mace. And everyone who sees that, I will allow to make a religion check.
Ooh, natural 20.
Ooh, right.
But the total for that would be 25.
Rue will just look sideways at it and say, "It appears that Agner used to worship weaponry."
I got an 8. Ellie's far too
Okay.
distracted by this younger, clean-shaven Eigner.
Oh, for sure. Hillowfax is the only one who recognizes the symbol on the tabard to be that of Samas, the lawbringer. I'm saying,
Ellie's
I'm saying
like-
that right.
Ellie's like, "Never mind the mace. Look at his face."
So yeah, Hillowfax is the only one who identifies that this is the symbol of another god. This is filling in some gaps because you guys have always known that Eigner used to be a paladin back in the day, but he's never really told you a lot about it. Never really told you a lot about the god that he used to worship or anything like that. So now you've got a name, Samas, the Lawbringer.
I'm not going to mention anything about it at the moment, but I am going to keep an eye on Urana and see how Eigner's body is reacting to seeing the younger self.
Eigner's body, Urana, I know it's confusing, doesn't react in any particular way. She merely looks on with this rapt attention. And the scene before you keeps playing out. This younger, maybe more handsome Eigner, wearing the symbol of Samas the Lawbringer, walks up to the small earthen lodge. I probably said it was wooden before. It's actually made of earth. It's kind of like an adobe structure, almost.
Kind of like a digloo.
Better than a digloo.
It's a digloo made by dwarves.
Ah.
Yep.
I see the.
I remember our world building scheme, so
Yep, I'm glad you do because I was pulling off the same thing. In his left hand, this is the fake Eigner. In his left hand are pairs of manacles. In his right hand is a wicked-looking mace. Around the edges of this scene, it's a smoky orange color, as if there are fires burning nearby. Eigner kicks the door down and enters the lodge. Several screams are heard, but the sound is muffled and echoey. Eigner emerges, leading several shackled dwarves. It looks to be as if it's a family. There are a couple of older dwarves there, a couple of younger ones. And the last one out of the structure is a young dwarven woman. And as you all see the whole line of them, and the whole line of them get close enough to you, you can see the young dwarven woman at the end of the line. It strikes you. She has facial features that really remind you of Ellie. It's it's a subtle thing, but it's there. Something about the shape of the face, even the color of the eyes, looks kind of similar to Ellie. And Eigner is leading the whole lot of them away and leads them out of the vision. Urana looks at you all with this sly, evil-looking grin and just says, "You don't even know. You don't even know Eigner. Not like I know him."
Well, we know what Eigner wants us to know about him, and that's just as much as we should know. You know about him because you're delving around inside his brain and tricking him into telling you things. We know what Eigner wants us to know, so, you know, you can push all of these, whatever this is, on us, but it's not going to change anything, so you might as well just keep walking.
All Urana does in response is lets forth a sick, demented sounding laugh. And I think it's a tiny bit early, but I kind of want to take our break there, if that's okay. I think it's like a decent spot.
Yeah.
I think it's
Feels
a decent,
right.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah, that sounds
right.
good.
Feels disturbing. feels very disturbing. So, hey, thank you for joining us. We got more crazy ass stuff coming to you in the second half of this session. So join us again in about 15 minutes, and we'll do that thing.
Yeah. See you soon.
We'll be right back.